Shalom. Shalom, shalom. Kahalo Yahweh Bahashem, Hamashiach Yahweh for giving me the spirit and power to do this lesson, and for giving me the spirit and power to wake up another day to show forth repentance in these last days as we get closer and closer to Jacob's trouble, the great tribulation period, the hour of temptation, the day of the Lord's wrath, whatever you want to call it. We need to be repentant and growing in grace, as says 2 Peter 3:18. 2 Peter 3:18, man. We see everything that's going on. The Strait of her moves with Donald Trump, Iran, all of these things is going on. They pushing this MOTB even faster, this digital currency. They at the end of this year, I think at the end of this year, a lot of shit is gonna change. They talking about COVID, the jump shot 2.0. They're talking about that's coming back in a major way. It's a lot of things that's being talked about, is being thrown around in the air. And what the most I want to do is get y'all, the people, used to it, to where it's just talk. And then he gonna smack you in the face with the real thing. It says in Isaiah 33, it says that fearfulness have surprised the hypocrites. That's how the Lord always is. The Lord doesn't change. That's how he always is. That's how he always is gonna be. The Lord loved the element of surprise, as we all do. So first, we're going over the ninth plague. The ninth plague dealing with the sun god Ra. The last two plagues are the most intense ones. You know, I got to do these plagues separate because of how long it is, right? So the ninth plague dealing with the sun god Ra, the Most High turned everything to darkness. Not just a normal darkness. This is a darkness that can be felt. This was a darkness with the extra sauce on it. The Lord was tormenting their minds in the midst of this darkness. So he didn't just make it dark. He was taunting them. He was showing out. Straight up, the same way Elijah did with the false prophets of Baal. The Most High did the same thing with the sun god Ra. He was waging war. That's why I titled them lessons. He waged war. So he didn't just send darkness. He made them go through hell, because that's who they serve. Okay, I'm gonna make y'all go through hell. Let's see if y'all God gonna save y'all out of this. And we're about to go over. It's only a couple verses in Exodus 10, 21 down to 25, I believe it is. And then you got Wisdom of Solomon 17. Almost that whole chapter deals with this darkness that can be felt. It was so crazy. This ninth plague is worthy to be broke down alone, taking your time on it. And that's how this is the same plagues, but more intensely, the Lord is going to send upon modern day Egypt. I went over it in the last lesson, Revelation 11:8, how this place is known as Sodom and Egypt. These plagues is going to come. 2nd Ezra 15:11. He said he's going to send the plagues on Egypt as before. So this ain't just ancient history. This is about to be your future. Straight up. But the elect represent the land of Goshen. The Israelites that didn't have to worry about darkness. They still had light. That's what the scripture says. So as always, Exodus 9:14, for I will at this time send all my plagues upon thy heart and upon thy servants and upon thy people, that thou mayest know that there is none like me in all the earth. The Most High stamping his name. He's executing judgment in the earth and proclaiming his name. I am the Lord that brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Exodus chapter 12 and verse 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night and will smite all the firstborns in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And this is the point. This is the hot topic. This is the meat that we're chewing off this bone. And against all the gods of Egypt, I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. I am Yahweh. That's what we're dealing with right now. And this is going to happen again in a major way. So let's get to the story. We're dealing with the sun god Ra. This is one of the most famous gods, at least the top three. Osiris, Ra, and Set, or Set. These were the top three, in my opinion, especially Ra. Ra is the nigga with, the niggas in Egyptology and conscience community, they get that eye tatted on their face, that weird ass eye. I believe that's the sun god Ra. He's supposed to be the top deity amongst the Egyptians. Everybody in Egyptology and conscious community acknowledge that nigga. But let's see what happens when the Most High acknowledges him. So Exodus chapter 10. So like it. Exodus 10 and 21. It says, and the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. Imagine you sticking your hand out and you feel this cold, you know what I'm saying, mixture of, you know, it's cold, you know, like probably got a watery tint to it, and you can just feel it. You can feel this darkness. It does something to you when you're walking through it. This is the darkness that can be felt. Man, and I hope it start raining. It says, and Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. So this wasn't just for one day, it was for 3 days that they had to deal with these tortures and torments. We're reading it in Exodus and it gives it to you plain. But when you go to Wisdom of Solomon 17, it details everything for you. It said that they were seeing apparitions. They was hearing serpents, wild beasts. They was hearing these things walk past them, and it was nothing there. It said their minds was prisons without bars. They was trapped in their own mind. It was delusional. But this is the plague that the Lord sent on them, not just the darkness that can be felt, but the strange apparitions. He put a little seasoning on the plague. He upped the ante on them. You know what I'm saying? Your God should come deliver you out of this. That's what he was on. So it says, in the land of Egypt for 3 days, they saw not one another. So they couldn't even see each other. Neither rose any from his place for 3 days. Shut up in their houses. And guess what? It says that about darkness is also represented for evil. And the world is about to be in darkness. And when you go to Isaiah chapter 24 and 10, it says, the city of confusion is broken down. And if you start at the top, this is talking about when the Lord judges everybody. Isaiah 24 and Isaiah 34, these chapters have not happened yet. We're still waiting on these prophecies to happen in a major way. Isaiah 13, we still waiting on that to happen. Isaiah 14, we still waiting on that to happen. Isaiah 2, we still waiting on that to happen. Isaiah 65, Isaiah 66, Isaiah 63, Isaiah 60, Isaiah 61. We're waiting on these chapters to still happen. So right here, the city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up that no man may come in. So this goes into people, you know, putting blockades on their doors and boarding up their windows and setting traps for people that try to enter in, and cameras and people shutting up themselves in their homes. And this is symbolic to, you know, I'm putting this right here. Symbolically, this is what's going to happen again pretty soon, more intensely though. But back then it was a certain plague that the Lord sent, which was a darkness. And it was waging war against the sun god Ra. Make that clear. So let's keep going on Exodus. So Exodus 10 and 23. They saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days. But all the children of Israel had light in their dwelling. And Pharaoh called unto Moses and said, go ye, serve the Lord. Only let your flocks and your herds be stayed. Let your little ones also go with you. Let your little ones also go with you. So if you ain't never seen something like this before, in modernization, look at it as a man. It could be a man or a woman. It don't matter. I've done this before. That's how I know. That situation where you tell a girl, man, you can go. I don't care. You can go, but you ain't taking that car. Give me that phone too. I pay for that too. Give me this. I pay for that. You know, this is potentially going to cause her not to want to go. You know this already. That's why we play that game. Some people be serious. Nah, give me my shit and go. But the majority of people, they be pump faking with that. All right, you can give me my stuff and you can go. You can get up out of here. Just give me my stuff back. Leave my keys on the table and leave my that phone on the table. I paid for that phone. I pay your phone bill. They play those games. This is exactly what Pharaoh was doing. You do that with people you feel like, you know, you did the utmost for. That's why Pharaoh acting like that. That's why the person that bought these things for you act like that. So it says, let your flocks and your herds be stayed. Let your little ones also go with you. He said, hey, leave all the flocks in the herd, but you can still take your kids though. He says, and Moses said, thou must give us also sacrifices and burnt offerings, that we may sacrifice unto the Lord our God. Our cattle also shall go with us. There shall not an hoof be left behind. For therefore must we take the serve. Salakia. Therefore must we take to serve the Lord our God. And we know not with what we must serve the Lord until we come thither. We don't know what the Most High, what kind of, you know, how many herd or cattle the Lord gonna want us to sacrifice. So we taking everything. We're not leaving a horn behind. It says, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go. Again, we're tapping into the future of this passage. Jeremiah chapter 50, it says the same thing. Jeremiah 50 and 33, it says, thus said the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Their hearts were hardened. So that's what we're dealing with right now too. Passports, birth certificates, social security cards. They are not letting you go. You belong to them. You're known as a slave here. Everybody know that but Jake. Jake, the only one that still think they're free, and they're not. If you free, leave the country without a passport, or leave the country with your passport and don't renew your passport and see if they don't bring your ass back over here. You're a slave. I used to say that to people all the time, like, okay, leave without the passport, or take your passport and let that thing expire, and just be going wherever you want and let the with an expired passport, see what happens. They're gonna be like, you're from America, we're sending you back to America. That's how that go, man. But right here, it says, thus said the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. So when was we oppressed together if this was fulfilled in Jeremiah 50? Jeremiah is dealing with the Babylonian captivity. The southern kingdom was in the Babylonian captivity. The northern kingdom was in the Assyrian captivity. They was not oppressed together in either one of those captivities. It's talking about this Babylon, this Sodom, this Egypt. This place is a big melting pot of all of those names. Straight up. And this is a lot of what people can't understand. They brain can't take them there, because the Most High has to reveal this to us. It's still things in the book the Most High still ain't revealed to me. And I've been in the truth 10 years, and it's still certain things he haven't revealed to me yet. But the Bible does say, better is he that have small understanding and fear the Most High than he that have great wisdom and transgress the laws of the Most High. And you look around a nation and you can see what, you can see exactly who that fits. Straight up. So going back to Exodus. So Exodus 10:27. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go. And Pharaoh said unto him, get thee from thee, take heed to thyself, see my face no more. For in the day that thou seest my face, thou shalt die. So he basically like, you see my face now? If you see me again, you're going to die. He said, you better make sure you don't see my face again. Because if you do see my face again, it's your death. That's what he's telling Moses. I think that rain coming down. Verse 29. And Moses said, thou hast spoken well. I will see thy face again no more. He like, yeah, you're right. We're not going to see you no more. Straight up. And once they left, did they see them again? No. They didn't have to turn around and fight the Egyptians. Most High dealt with them. Most High dealt with the heathen. They're, our enemies. And that's what we waiting on now. That's why we laugh at World War III. We laugh at what the King Alfred plan. We laugh at the Rex 84 plan that they have for us. We laugh at this Agenda 2030. We laugh at these kind of things because we know in Job 5, it says, their hands shall not perform their enterprise, meaning they're not going to be successful. They're not going to be successful with nothing they do. The MOTB ain't even going to be all the way successful. You're going to have a lot of heathen rebels, and Jake going to be slipping through the cracks, man. The ones that's supposed to, at least. The ones that's supposed to. Now, from there, we go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17, right? Remember, in these 3 days, people couldn't see each other. No one left their house. In Wisdom of Solomon 17, it said that they was sitting in a corner inside of their home. Straight up. And Israel had light. This is a direct hit. This is a direct challenge to the Egyptian God. So Wisdom of Solomon 17:1. It says, "O Lord, your acts of judgment are marvelous and hard to explain." That is why people who had not been taught about them went astray. When lawless people imagined that they had your holy nation in their power, and guess what? We're modernizing all of this. This is exactly how the modern day Egyptians look at it. They're like, man, we got God's chosen people in slavery. We got these niggas dumb calling themselves black people. That's how they looking at you. Bro, you have to call yourself African American or Black American when you go do an application. You think that shit ain't funny to them? You a byword. Straight up, bro. You got to call yourself a black man. It says, when lawless people imagined that they had your holy nation in their power, they were themselves imprisoned in a long night of darkness. This is going into the ninth plague. Solomon is explaining the ninth plague, the grave details of the ninth plague. It says, in prison in a long night of darkness, they lay in their own houses, shut off from your eternal care. They thought that their sins had been secret and unnoticed, shielded from view by a dark curtain of forgetfulness. So they forgot that these people once, I ain't gonna say once had a God, but these people served the true and living God. The true and living God let them do their thing. They start getting oppressed in Egypt. Then the Most High said, what? I have heard the cry of my people. And he came to deliver his people. This is a great common story everybody knows. Even niggas that serve Buddha know about the God of the Hebrew Israelites. Everybody knows about this God. Everybody has stories about the Great Flood and the deliverance from Egypt. Straight up. So they forgot. They were so in tune with oppressing the black people. And like I'm working on a lesson right now. This nigga Esau predicates his righteousness off of our retardation, our ignorance. Like this nigga sentenced Jake to 25 years, 30 years life over some people that he beat the hell out of silly. Bro, you beat the dog crap out of our people, and now you're righteous for locking monsters up? That's amazing. That's crazy. They base their righteousness off of us. Judges be giving these long ass lectures. What's the most famous one? You can leave. What do you say? You can check out, but you can never leave. That's what they say. You can check out, but you can never leave. Meaning the only way you're going to leave this prison is dying, going back to the spirit world. That's like a mockery, dude. That's a famous quote, though, from judges. Judges love saying that. Edomite judges. They try to get these long lectures on how this young black man then did these horrible things. It's just like, bro, y'all are the biggest hypocrites on the planet in history. It says, keep going though. It says, but now they were horribly afraid, confused, and terrified by ghostly forms. This is, man, I gotta bring out this second Ezra because I keep talking about it. The same thing is going to happen to the modern day Egypt. Second Ezra 15 and 11. I'm starting at 10. Behold, my people was led as a flock to the slaughter. Exactly what I'm explaining. That's a flock to the slaughter to beat the hell out of somebody. I get this analogy. I always get this analogy. It's like locking a man up for 20 years. A man that was minding his business, wrongfully accused, but you needed somebody to be locked up for. You locked him up for 20 years, and then you let him out in society with no therapy, no kind of education, no kind of help, no kind of money, no nothing, financial nothing. And then you be like, all right, man, you better behave. You better behave. Man, how the fuck is he going to behave if he ain't been in society for 20 years? He don't know what's going on. He don't know what's going on, man. That's what Esau did. Beat the hell out of us. Now we're supposed to function in society accordingly. That don't make no fucking sense, man. That don't make no sense at all. So, behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm. This goes into the second Exodus. Jeremiah 16, Jeremiah 23. It says, and smite Egypt with plagues as before. So this ain't talking about the ancient Egypt. This is talking about the modernized Egypt. Second Ezra 15 and 16. These is end time prophecy scriptures. This is talking about a great power, a great ruling kingdom that ruled and was just as big as the ancient Egypt, which we know as America. It says, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. That's why we say America is going to be obliterated off of the face of the earth. It's going to be uninhabitable for generation after generation. That's what the scriptures say. We believe the scriptures. It says, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that God shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail and with a fearful consolation. We just read those plagues not too long ago about the hail and about the locusts. That's what their jobs was. That's what they did. Even though it was a direct war against the idol, it was also sending them into a famine. So now let's go back. Wisdom of Solomon 17 and 4. Not even the dark corners where they lay could protect them from fear. It says, they were surrounded by horrible noises. Grim ghosts with gloomy faces appeared before their eyes. No fire had power to give them light. Imagine that. We're not talking about a normal darkness. We're talking about an oppressive darkness. This darkness was oppressing them in their homes. These niggas in corners, scared. I'm sure the father, the mother, the children, everybody was in a corner scared, man, couldn't see a thing. They probably couldn't even see that the Israelites actually had light. And not only that, like I said, the Most High threw some season on it. He threw some extra on it. He upped the ante. He made it where they were seeing stuff that wasn't really there. This is an oppressive darkness. It says, no fire had power to give them light, and the brilliant stars could do nothing to relieve that deathly darkness. Like I said earlier, this is a direct war against the sun god Ra. Now, the Most High created the sun. We know this. He's the God of heaven and earth. But they took this element They took the sun and the stars and they turned them into gods. The Greeks did the same thing. The Romans did it. They all the heathens did it. They did it with Baal in the beginning of the book. They all did this. But this is Egypt's turn right here. And it's going to be Egypt's turn again pretty soon. More intense, more advanced and enhanced. It says, there was only a dreadful fire lit by no human hand that shone on them. And in their terror, they believed that the real world was even worse than the things they imagined. They were so scared. They was just all of them. They was thinking shit was going on that really wasn't going on. Then it says, the illusions produced by their magic tricks were put to shame. Like I said, a direct war against the heathen god, the Egyptian gods. Then it says, and all the wisdom they had boasted of came to nothing. Remember, I went over in the last 8 plagues on how this is what the magicians would do. As soon as the Most High waged war and he sent these plagues, they would try to call forth the God which they served, and it came to nothing. Like I said, 2026, and these gods still have never said nothing to them about, what the Most High did. No, don't speak, didn't hear nothing, didn't see nothing, didn't do nothing. The Most High was proving them to be idols, man. So it says, verse 8, they had claimed they could drive away all the fears and illnesses of sick minds, but now they themselves were sick with silly, groundless fears. Oppressive darkness, man. It says, even though nothing dangerous had actually happened, they were terrified by hissing snakes and animals advancing on them. Imagine a wolf growling, or multiple wolves growling. A snake, it sounds like this big ass snake is getting closer and closer to you. You like, oh! You could just imagine how they was, man. Or the terror, they was terrified by their neighbors, hearing the neighbors screaming. It sound like little Rah-Rah next door getting ate by a snake because he's screaming. They probably hear the same hissing snake. You just put 2 and 2 together. Use your imagination. That's what the Most High want us to do. He gives us the details. Now we got to tap into our creative side and think about how bad it really was in our reality. How scared they really was. I believe they was shitting and pissing on themselves, man. I believe that. Niggas was doo-dooing on themselves. It said they wouldn't leave for 3 days. And right here we just read they was stuck in a corner in their house. All of them stuck in corners, probably hiding under tables, under beds for 3 days. So you went 3 days without using the bathroom. What happens when you get that scared? That's the first thing you got to do is use the bathroom. I believe some of them doo-dooed and peed on themselves. It says, verse 9, even though nothing actually had happened, they were terrified by hissing snakes and animals advancing on them. And so they died, shaking with fear, afraid even to open their eyes, yet unable to keep them shut. Man, imagine that. They can't keep their eyes open, but they can't close them at the same time. That's what you call very afraid. When somebody about to get hit with a car, they close their eyes like, ah, but then they crack their eyes a little bit open to see where the car at. One of those situations, but 10 times worse. Then it says, verse 11, wickedness is cowardly in itself and stands self-condemnation. Wickedness is cowardly in itself and stands self-condemnation, self-condemned. It says and you think of it like this. Wickedness is cowardly in itself and stand self-condemned. They was condemning their own minds because they knew what they was doing was evil. They knew what they was doing was wicked. It says someone with a guilty conscience will always imagine things to be worse than they really are. It says someone with a guilty conscience. This is for us to learn today. That's why I tell people when I be teaching, and I mean this, you gonna know who really believe this whole time. You gonna know who really been grounding themselves, because I believe it's gonna be brothers that's gonna be so scared in the knowledge of the truth. These niggas gonna be scared. So, bro, what we gonna do? Bro, what we gonna eat, bro? Bro, you sure we don't need to holler at the government? It's gonna be like, bro, what the hell? You all right, man? Is you all right? You're gonna see the people who wasn't grounded. It's gonna get that intense, man. It talks about the righteous scarcely being saved. But it also talk about woe unto you that has lost patience. For you believe not, therefore shall you not be defended. It says, verse 12, it says, fear is nothing but the failure to use the help that reason gives. So fear takes away all logic, all reason. It takes away all that. A lot of times you can't convince nobody of nothing when they're afraid. You can't tell them shit because they so afraid. It takes away logic and reason. Straight up. It says, when you lack the confidence to rely on reason, you give in to the fears caused by ignorance. All night long, those people slept the same restless sleep, even though the night held no power over them. It was nothing going on but darkness, bro. But their minds wouldn't let them tell them that, even though they knew it. Think about it. After the first day, nothing ate you yet, and you're still this afraid. Nothing ate you. The second day, bro, nothing ate you yet. But they were so afraid, they couldn't reason in their minds. They couldn't think logically. To be like, damn, ain't nothing ate us yet. Ain't nothing there. Man, I'm telling you, the Most High, man. Imagine what he about to do to these people, man. I'm going to keep going. It says, even though the night held no power over them, since it came from the powerless depths of the world of the dead, they were chased by hideous forms and lay paralyzed as they surrendered themselves to the sudden. They was just ready to give up and die to whatever was they felt like was chasing them, or that was gaining on them or creeping on them. It says unexpected fear that came over them. People would suddenly collapse and lie locked in the chains of their own fear, man. I'm telling you, this is how the Bible explains what's going to happen in the last days. When you go to Isaiah chapter 13, right? Isaiah 13 and verse 14. This is last days prophecy. We are still waiting on this to happen. I quoted a couple chapters earlier on, future prophecies, the things that did not happen yet, and I mentioned Isaiah 13. When you read Isaiah 13 and 14, it says, and it shall be as a chased roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one into his own land. Why? Because they are afraid. What are they afraid of? Verse 15, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. So this ain't how it was in ancient Egypt. It's actually going to be happening to them. The Bible talks about wild beasts attacking them, attacking the people. Pestilence. People that escape the famine shall die by the gun, the modern day sword. The Bible talks about this. Back then, he was tormenting their minds today, in these days, he's going to really torment them. But the point I'm getting is verse 14. And it shall be as a chased roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. It's going to be like a deer in headlights. The people's minds is, at least. It's going to be like a deer in headlights. The same way we read about in ancient Egypt. These niggas was so scared they couldn't even logically think or give reason. That's crazy, man. And think about it. We're not talking about you in some damn alley at 3 a.m. in Watts, California. We ain't talking about no, bro. We talking about real dark. Nigga, you can't see nothing in that alley. You don't know that it's an alley. It's so dark. The stars and the moon, it tells you in Genesis 1, the stars and the moon give off the light, the lesser light for the nighttime. They can't see it. They can't see anything. The sun is the bright one. It's the brighter light of the day. Couldn't see it. It's dark for 3 whole days, man. Let's keep going. Verse 17. Farmers, shepherds, and laborers out in the countryside were captured by the same inevitable fate and bound in the darkness by the same invisible chain. They were panic-stricken by the sighing of the wind, or by the singing of birds in the trees, or by the roar of rushing water, or by the rumble of falling rock, or by the sound of unseen creatures running about, or by the savage roaring of wild animals, or by the echoes from the mountains. Bro, these niggas was hearing all kind of different stuff. But we just read how none of this stuff was really there. But guess what? They were so afraid, logic and reason was not entering into their minds. The Most High can make you this afraid. I'm telling you, I've been this afraid before. I believe I have. I know what it feel like when you chilling minding your business and niggas just pull up. You never looked at, you just never thought. And they just up shit on you. And they just start shooting. I've been in a situation where they start shooting and I push my brother back into the apartments. But these apartments was like when you enter the apartments, there's 4 different apartments. There's A, B, C, D. There's 2 downstairs and there's 2 upstairs. I pushed him in there and we ran up the stairs. There's nothing else except 2 apartments up there. There's nothing, there's nowhere else to run. Nigga, we at the top of the apartments like, it's over. You're so afraid, your instincts kick in where you're ready to jump through a window or whatever the case is. These niggas' logic and reason wasn't even giving them that. Wasn't giving them nothing. All praises to the Most High. So it says, that's a scary sight, man. That's a real scary sight. Where you think they about to get out the car and chase you into a dead end. You don't know who these people is, man. You don't know who they are. But you know they shooting at you. And in your mind, you know they about to get out that car and walk you down. That's what goes on in your mind when you're that afraid. I know what it feels like to be afraid, man. I know what it feels like to get caught breaking in somebody's house. Getting caught. And I'm talking about they're chasing you. You got to jump out the car and you got to run this way and your cousin take off in the car again. Everybody gets caught except you and one other person. But in your mind, you like, nigga, everybody got caught. I know I'm about to get caught. I ain't never went through this before. I'm about to go to jail for a long time. Those kind of feelings, but way more intense, 10 times worse. So it says, verse 20, in the full light of day, the rest of the world went about its business undisturbed. And this is, it's going to be like this on a different level. So the rest of the world is not going to be just undisturbed minding their business, but it's not going to be going through what Babylon is going through. Babylon is going to get it the worst. the worst, man. It says, verse 21, only those people were covered by this heavy night, a foretaste of the darkness of death that was waiting for them. They were a burden to themselves that was even heavier than the darkness. Niggas was doing it to themselves. Straight up, this is the ninth plague. This is what really detailed what was going on during the ninth plague in Exodus chapter 10. Now, let's go to the sun god Ra and his rituals. It says the sun god Ra. It says Ra, sun god, supreme deity of Egypt. This was top hat. This was the chief idol in Egypt, who they served and worshiped. Seen as the source of light, life, and creation. When you go into this sun god Ra, I was looking at it years ago when we used to have to deal with the Egyptology and conscious community. It was somehow this nigga end up crying. You know, it's idolatry. He ended up crying. He ended up getting sad because his wife died or something like that. You know, these gods supposed to have been like human form and all this goofy shit. But he got sad and he cried, and a teardrop fell and created humanity. That's what it's crazy, man. That's why he's the sun god, supreme deity, seen as the source of light, life, and creation. Believed to travel across the sky by day and throughout the underworld by night. You see that? So day or night, this sun god Ra wasn't coming through. Then it says, daily sun rituals. Priest honored Ra at sunrise, noon, and sunset. Prayers focused on light, life, order over chaos. Temple worship. Major temples like Helopius were dedicated to him. And I believe this turned into a Greek spot. I believe I seen this word in Maccabees. But remember, the Greeks went into Egypt and they stole all this shit. The sun god Ra goes back to Zeus. Zeus goes all the way. So it goes from Zeus, sun god Ra, Baal. Not in that order, but all three of those is the same idol, man. They all just stole each other idols. That's all they did. It says, and look what they do today. They stole our God, but our God just ain't an idol. He's not an idol, but they stole him. Look how the Roman Catholics look at shit. Look how all these non-denomination and denominations, they base it all off the Bible, man. It says the rituals included burning incense, offering food and drink, singing hymns to the sun. These niggas was singing hymns to the sun. Solar offerings, bread, wine, and animals were offered, symbolizing sustaining the power of the sun. That's why he made it dark. It says Pharaoh connection. Pharaohs were seen as sons of representatives of Ra. Their rule was tied to his authority and divine order. It says the dead hope to join Ra on his journey through the afterlife. Now, I want to show this. I want to show this. If you see that eye that's up there in the corner, and then you got the sun in the other corner, that eye, when you see that eye with that little line that goes down and that curve that goes down, that's the sun god Ra. That's the supreme deity of the Egyptians. So it said the pharaohs were seen as sons of representatives of Ra. So I had seen a while ago, the pharaohs was like the government. That's who the pharaoh was, the government. They was the ones speaking. They was the ones who spoke to Moses. They was the ones who made the decisions. They was the ones who did everything. So they was like the government back then. It says Their rule was tied to his authority and divine order. And that's why, like, if you watch the movie Exodus, Gods versus Egypt with Moses and Pharaoh, when he was nominated after his father died, or their father died, Moses' father died, Ramses the second, I believe, he was nominated to become the next Pharaoh. And he held, it was a gold image, it was a gold idol in his hand. And he would cross his arms and he would have two idols in his hand. And one of them was the eye I just showed you made out of gold. So it says, spells, so like it, spells and prayers were used to travel with him and gain eternal life. God brought total darkness over Egypt for 3 days. Ra, the supposed source of light, couldn't shine at all. Even Pharaoh linked to Ra was powerless. Their highest God got shut off completely. God showed he alone controls light, life, and authority. Straight up, man. Straight up. So the Lord waged war, you know, on the sun god Ra. That's what we read about. It's a very good story, man. That's like a story when it's just the 9th plague. But the last 2 plagues was the most intense. The firstborn of the murdering of the killing of the firstborn of all the the killing of all the firstborn. That story is kind of longer. It's actually Exodus chapter 11 and Exodus chapter 12. It's 2 chapters dealing with the last plague. That was the worst one. That was the one where Pharaoh said, okay, get the hell out of here. And he was serious. But when they got a couple of days ahead, what did he do? The Lord hardened his heart again. The modern day Egyptians is coming for us too, man. They're going to come for us also. They feel like we're their property. They feel like God is dead. Or they feel like God is powerless because they've been indulged in idols since their youth. Going back to Genesis, man. They've been dealing with these idols for so long, man. They really think that they can take down the true and living God. And that's sad for them. Sad for them. But that's all I got, man. Lord willing, you was edified, even if it's just a little bit. Want to give Kohallah Yahweh Hashem, Hamashiach Yahweh Shah. Shalom.